Before we go any further, what you hear on this podcast is our perspective as CRNAs. It's not medical advice and it doesn't speak for any hospital or employer. We're just two providers having the conversations we think need to happen. So, what is the funniest or most unhinged thing a patient has ever said to you going under or waking up?
Okay. I had a patient that was really nervous about anesthesia because she'd been told that you say a bunch of stuff that you can't control. And so she was hyper focused on not giving us her bank account information. It's the weirdest thing. The entire time after, like, we gave her Versed, we're rolling back, she was like, I am not going to tell you my bank account information. And she just kept repeating herself. I don't know about you, but I don't have my bank account information memorized. But she was so panicked about it. And it was just hilarious because I was like, I've never had someone stress about giving away their money. So it was really bizarre.
I'm like, who did she give away her money
I know.
to?
How much money do you have? I have questions now.
Agreed. How about you, Mark?
The one thing that comes to mind is this patient, he was going to get a colonoscopy and it was his first one. And I was asking him something, a question about something, and he goes, and I go, well, that's the short of it. And he goes, thank God it's the short of it because I was afraid it might be the long of it. I was like, oh no, the scope's kind of long. And he says, well, it's not about the length. I guess it's the girth. I was like, oh my God, the whole place, like, we were like, okay, sir. He hadn't even gotten medication yet. So, I mean, the whole anesthetic, other than for when he was sleeping, was a riot. So, do with that with what you want. But I mean, that's what happened.
Yeah, mine was it was more of a shocking one. I was waking a patient up and he was getting kind of agitated and I told him, "Hey, sir, like just take big deep breaths. You're just waking up from anesthesia." And he goes, "F you." Really loud. The whole OR is like, we all stopped and we're like, okay. Like what are you going to do? But he didn't get violent or anything, thankfully, but it was just really shocking.
You never know what to expect.
You never know.
Welcome to Clock Out and Connect, the podcast about what everybody's thinking, but no one's saying.
I'm Shantall, a CRNA, mom, and professional worst-case scenario planner.
And I'm Marc, a CRNA dad and the guy who makes the hard calls before most people finish their coffee.
We work in high-pressure environments by day and come home to real life, family, ambition, and everything in between. If you're thinking it, we're talking about it.
Well, Chris, welcome to Clock Out and Connect. We are so excited to have you here. And we are ready to chop it up about all the things. I don't want to steal your thunder. So we're going to wait until Shantall does a brief description of who you are and what we're about to talk about tonight or today or wherever the day is. So guys, stay tuned. Listen intently because you want to take notes for this one.
We're welcoming Chris O'Connor. She is a CRNA in Florida. I work with her. She's an amazing CRNA, and she has told me her origin story. And it's just wild. To me, it's wild. And I think it's a story that needs to be heard because if you want to feel inspired, this is who you got to talk to. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Chris. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and then we'll get into it.
Okay. Well, like you said, my name's Chris O'Connor. I'm a CRNA here in Florida. I predominantly have worked in Florida. I've been to a couple other states, but predominantly worked in Florida. The most interesting part about me, though, is I am a single mother, and I've been a single mother for 20 years now. So I haven't been a CRNA for 20 years, so that'll tell you a lot about what we're going to be getting into. But I've run the gamut. I have been a medically directed CRNA. I have been a supervision CRNA. I have been an independent CRNA. I specialize in everything from neuro to OB. The only thing I don't like is kids. Sorry, love kids. I just don't want to work on them. And I've been a chief. I've been a locum provider. I've been a W-2 provider. So, I mean, I run the gamut as far as CRNAs and work go.
Because the reason we wanted to talk to you is because everybody loves the after photo, right? Like you see, hey, CRNA, living happily ever after. But a lot of people don't really think about like the hard part, all the ugly parts and, what it took to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to like you deciding to go to CRNA school. Why don't you tell us about that? How did you come into that?
Okay. Well, I did not aspire to be a CRNA. I didn't even know what CRNAs did. Like, honestly, I chose to be a nurse because, again, I was a single mom. I was a teenage mom. I got pregnant at a very young age. I had my son while I was still in high school, and I just wanted a job that I could raise my family with, that I wouldn't have to worry about and struggle. So that's what led me to nursing in general. And I was happy as a nurse. I was the top of the top, you know. I was the rapid response nurse, the ICU charge, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. One of my friends wanted to apply to CRNA school, and she's like, "You should apply with me. I don't want to do it alone." And I was like, "There's no way they're going to accept me. I don't even know what they do. I don't want to play Sudoku for the rest of my life in an OR. That sounds boring." And she's like, "Just apply. You're going to do great. You'll love it." I'm not a good student on paper, never have been. I had 2 kids to raise, so B's were for me, C's were okay sometimes, and A's were just a lucky chance sometimes. So I was like, "Fine, I'll apply, but I'm never going to get in." So I applied with her. I paid, the fee and did one school, and I applied. And I told her, I was like, "I'm never going to get in, but if I get an interview, then, I'm golden." And look at it. I got an interview and I got in, and I was like, "Oh, now what?" I got to put my money where my mouth is, right? Because the first thing they ask you when you go to school is, "Where's your fee?" And I was like, I don't, okay, here we go. So I got talked into becoming a CRNA. And I'm just too stubborn and determined to have backed out, because that's just who I am. So here I am.
So you get into CRNA school, which is huge, right? And now you're trying to figure out how to pay for it. So especially as a single mom, at this point you have 2 kids, right?
I had 2 kids. My son was just going into middle school. My daughter was in elementary school. Single mom. I'd been working as a nurse for a while, so I'd bought a house. I was pretty well established, pretty comfortable, but as most people live, I was a paycheck to paycheck person because, you have kids. They're expensive. Life is expensive. Florida is not cheap, even though, we have some nice things. Life is expensive. So I got into CRNA school. Again, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I didn't know anything about graduate school. And I was like, "How am I going to pay for this?" I didn't even know how much CRNAs made. Like, when I tell you I went in blinds, I never shadowed. I went in completely blind to what CRNAs actually did. I'd never been in an OR. I knew nothing again. So I just kind of had to figure it out. I went to the school and I talked to the financial aid office, and I finally did the research on, potential income. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to not do it. I made it. So I maxed out every loan you could get.
Yeah.
And I quit my job and I committed to school, and I utilized the government resources that we pay into, because I had done it previously when I was in nursing school, and when I was a teen mom, I had used those things to help you get along. That's the whole point of them, is to help people get better. So I used them. I went on food stamps. I had like the daycare assistants, all kinds of stuff. And yeah, I didn't stress about it. I was like, I can worry about it later. Right now, I got to focus on feeding my children, paying my bills, and getting through school. And it adds up fast, but if you don't focus on it, you only focus on the end goal, it makes it a lot easier, because it's a lot of money, but it's worth it. It's an investment in yourself, and you're going to be in a place where you can pay it back. That's the key, right? We're not making pennies. We're in a place where we can pay it back. It's an investment in your future. That's how I looked at it.
Okay, so you start CRNA school, you figure out how you're going to pay for it. What was what did a week, day to day, what did it look like for you?
Well, I had to figure life out too. It's not just money. Money is one of the complications, right? I had 2 kids that needed a mom, and I live near my family, but I live about 20-30 minutes from them, and they're helpful, but sometimes family is not always helpful. So it's just me and my kids for the most part. And luckily, I have really good children. Now they're adults, but really good children. And we created a little routine. They would get themselves up and get themselves off to school. I would call them in the morning on my way to clinicals or on my way to class, and they would go to school, and they would come home, and they would do their day to day, and I would do mine. And I would just make sure everything was organized for the day before or the next day, make sure they had snacks because they couldn't cook, make sure that they had everything that they needed. Not a lot of sleep, that's for sure. And then you just find time to study. I mean, you lived it, so it's hard to look back, but you just make it happen. Every day is a new day. We would sit down and study together. We would turn on TV where the kids would watch TV and I would study so I could be with them, but not with them.
Right.
Dinners, Friday night dinners were always a thing. We would always sit down Friday nights and have dinners just because I needed a day with them. The day to day was rough, but you make it happen.
Yeah. So in your mind now, like you're going through all this, you taking like this, money, and you're on this thing. So, what was your? I mean, I know what your biggest fear is, right? So, walk us through that. Like, your biggest fear is probably like flunking out of school.
No.
Like you've done this thing now, and you're committed.
I didn't panic about flunking out of school. It's a whole story. I technically shouldn't be a CRNA right now, but I am. Luck is on my side. But I had technically C'd out of school. So in the grad school that I went to, and I think most grad schools are like this, but you had to maintain a 3.0 grade point average, and you were allowed to drop below it for one semester, and then it had to come up the next semester. So we were allowed a total of 7 credits a C. I got 6 credits a C my very first semester because I was an awful student, like I told you. And so I got 6 credits a C. So the following semester, I technically did not have a 3.0. I needed to bring that up to a 3.0 in order to continue. Well, second semester is when we started clinicals, and we had a huge drop rate. Like, so many people quit because either clinicals or they had gotten too many credits to C because you're only allowed 7. So the end of second semester comes and a bunch of people end up not necessarily dropping out, but getting pushed back to the next year's program. Or I technically didn't bring my GPA up high enough. I had like a 2.98 or something like that. So according to the bylaws, I should not have continued. I didn't know that, and the school missed it. So financial aid did not miss it. They were the reason I found out. Financial aid did not miss it, but the school missed it. So I went through all of my third semester until the very end, and my school was like, hey, you should not have continued. If you don't bring up your GPA this semester, you're definitely out. And that's when I panicked. I was like, oh my gosh, tell me right now, because if I need to find a job, I've got to find a job. But because that happens, I never stressed. I was like, if I fail, I fail. I'm going to try my best. But I was more concerned with making sure that I got the next test right. Like I couldn't focus on failing, or I couldn't do that. I had to focus on studying for the next test, because every test could have kicked me out of the program. Literally my last test in the program, I remember I had to get a 76 on, otherwise I would have got a C. And I walked out of that class and my teacher's like, what'd you get? And I was like, I got a 76. Passed.
Wow.
I mean, like my entire schooling was just, because again, I'm not a good student book-wise. Clinically, I'm great, in my opinion.
Right.
But didactics were not my thing. You know, some of us are stronger in certain areas. Didactics weren't it for me. And I had so many things at home. Like I was trying to take care of the kids and just get sleep and basic stuff. So I was just the next test. So I could not focus on failing out. Otherwise, I probably would have shut down. I was more concerned about just making the next day work. Like, what's the next day got?
What a testimony. That's crazy, because like just listening to it, I'm getting goosebumps and my heart rate like accelerated at least 40 beats.
One of my friends I used to study with, her husband is a physician, and he used to ask all the time, he's like, I don't know how you're not in a corner crying. Like, how are you functioning? And I was like, I can't control it. Like, I can only do what I can do for the next, like I said, next test, next day, next clinical site, whatever, next patient. I was like, I can't control what's beyond my control. Like, tomorrow's not here. So it's a weird mindset to be in, but man, it was tough. It worked because you stress yourself out otherwise.
Yeah, that's so true. But I think it's important to highlight too, when you said earlier, I'm not good in didactics. I was good clinically. I resonate with that a lot. And it's just because you're not good, just because you're not a good student didactically, academically, doesn't mean that you're not smart, right? Because I think we all feel like if you're not a 4.0 student in CRNA school, then you obviously are not a good CRNA, and that's just not true, right?
Some people struggle the other way. They're great at the book. In didactics, they're 4.0, like you said, and they just struggle clinically because it's just not their strength.
I literally knew there were two of them in my class, like that I knew. And one of the girls, she was just like, I don't want to do this. Like the clinical area is just too stressful. I mean, I don't think she ever got, I think, which is crazy. I think she was getting like A's on every test. Like every test she took, she got A's or like hundreds. Like, I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like 90s to anywhere from within there. Like it was crazy. But she was in clinical, like she froze. She kind of didn't know what to do, where most of us, you know, I think, well, not, you know what I mean? Like it was just harder.
It's hard in clinical, but it should get easier as you do more. The girl who talked me into applying went to school with me, and she got into clinicals, and she's like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
She quit. She did not like it at all. So she got me in there, and then she abandoned me because she didn't like it. It just goes to show, like, she was one of those students. She was really good clinically or didactically, but clinically, she just didn't like it. It wasn't her thing.
Yeah. And that's okay, right? Not everything is for everybody. Okay. So do you feel like you had to let go of anything like during school? Like, I know you were just focused on the day to day, but if you look back, what do you feel like you had to set aside for that time being? Because I guess what I'm trying to get at is the people that have all of, you know, the reasons, right? Why they can't go to CRNA school, why they can't do XYZ. So for you, how did that work out in your brain?
So I think if you want it, you can get it. Like, I'm a firm believer, if you want something enough, you'll make it work. No is an excuse. It's like, it was never an option. It's just an excuse. If you really want something, you can make it work. So I have the two kids. I did give up a lot of time with them. I actually had to move to Orlando for an entire semester, and I gave them to my parents for the summer semester because I had to go live in Orlando for a whole semester. You have to make the little moments matter, and you have to make the best of what you have. And remember, again, it's an investment in yourself. So even though I wasn't there, I didn't do field trips with my kids. I wasn't there every day for dinner, or like I wasn't always there to tuck them in at night or whatever. When I was there, I was always around, always with them. My daughter and I used to have our little study dates. She would do her homework and I would study, and she would come with me when I was going to study and color or play video games or whatever, just to be there. You know, you don't always have to be engaged to be present. So it's hard because you do give up a lot of time and a lot of activities, especially when your kids are younger, but they get to see the struggle and they get to see the reward. It's worth it. It's hard, but it's worth it. And adults don't fully get it. They kind of do, but kids, it will change their whole perspective on life because they're impressionable. So like, my kids see that hard work pays off. They see it. They saw me do it.
I was going to ask you, have they actually said anything to you now that they're adults, like looking back during that time?
My son likes to make smart ass comments. He always jokes. He's like, why did you have to go to school when I was older and have to have money when I'm an adult? He's like, why did you have to be poor when I was a kid? But, and then he gets,
Building some character.
yeah, like, he's like, why? And I was like, it's just the way it worked out. But my daughter will randomly, she's like my black cat. Randomly she does stuff, and randomly she'll tell me how proud that she is that I did it, and how it shows her that, you know, she really wants to strive for the stars, literally. So how she knows she can do it. It just proved to her that you can achieve it. Like I said, no is just an excuse. Like, I can't do that is an excuse. Like, why can't you do that? Unless there's an actual reason that is something to do with you personally, there's no reason why you can't do it. Like, if you don't like it, or you physically couldn't do it, or you literally couldn't academically do it, you have no other excuse. Your home life is adjustable. It sucks, but it's adjustable. So, but yeah, my kids saw that and they realized that you can achieve anything. And they do mention that from time to time.
Yeah, we got Chris Goggins on the show right now, guys. Let's go. I love it. I love hearing this because I believe that too. I believe that whatever you put your mind to and you can do, you really can do. And so it's hard, but you have to talk yourself into doing things. And sometimes you need to do things that you don't want to do in order to get the things you want and to be happy. And so, like, no one wants to get, I mean, I didn't know anybody that wanted to get up and work for free, like be in the clinicals at 4:30 in the morning until sometimes like, 7 at night, and then do it again and have to go and, do workups and just all the things and do that for 3 years. Oh my God. The fact that we did that sometime, I think to myself, that's crazy.
Is you just, again, you have to want it enough. You'll get it if you want it enough. Looking back though, like, you made it. While you're living in it, you're like, I'm never going to make it. But looking back, you're like, wow, it flew by. Doesn't it feel like it was forever ago and you blinked
Yeah.
and it was over?
Yeah. And I remember starting off my second year in the beginning of the year thinking, oh my God, there's an entire year. And then there's another entire year. And now I'm like, I've been a CRNA 5 years. It's
Yep.
just insane to me. I don't know how it makes sense, but it does.
It doesn't at all.
So in a previous episode, I had talked about how I almost flunked out of my first semester CRNA-school, and what I did to try to dig myself out of that hole. So I know you were in that same predicament. What did you do to dig yourself out of that hole?
Well, I got the A I needed. That's really what it came down to. I needed 1 credit of A to bring my GPA up high enough. But I think, again, I got myself into something that I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And I think I just had to kind of like mentally commit once I realized what it was going to cost me and what I was going to have to put into it. I found that having a study group helped a lot because I needed people to help me focus. I'm not the best at studying, so I needed someone to help me focus and help me get my test scores more consistent and more reliable. That was really the big thing. Bringing it all home to where I didn't think of it as something in my life. It was my life. It becomes your life. As you guys know, you lived it. So I think that was what I really needed to do. And then I got the A I needed. That's really what it came down to. And once I got that A, I was like, no more C's. I've got to keep it together. And my friends are the reason I did that. Like, they helped me keep it together.
Yeah. I also think being able to achieve it once too, like, oh my God, I could actually do this. I can do this. You got that A. I'm like, you can do it again.
Yeah. Every test, you're like, okay, I passed. On to the next one. And you just keep doing it. Like you said, you just keep doing it. Rinse and repeat.
So the reason that we wanted to make this episode is because I've actually gotten DMs with old classmates, old nursing school classmates, and a couple of random people actually. One of them, she told me how during CRNA school, her husband was having a substance abuse problem, and she actually needed some time to kind of figure that out, right? And her school was very good, and they allowed her that time to be able to figure it out, and she was able to finish, and all of that. And then I had another friend reach out and tell me that, she's married, she's got 3 kids. She's kind of burned out with bedside nursing and she wants to make a change, but she's terrified of how on earth she's going to do that. Despite being married, but having the 3 kids. And so I feel like that comes up a lot where we have people that are like, seemingly they think it would be impossible to do. And I understand looking at that mountain and thinking, I there's no way I'm getting up there. Right. But so what would you say to that mom, the single mom, anybody that's in that similar situation where they feel like it's impossible to climb that mountain? What would you say to them?
Take it one step at a time and prioritize yourself. You can't, as you guys spoke about, you can't take care of other people without taking care of yourself. And you have to just do it for you. Everything else will work. It is uncomfortable making changes in your home life, but your kids will still love you. The kids are very resilient. And again, you show them that you're caring and you're doing it for yourself. That improves their self-worth as well. They see like, oh, you're doing it for you. I should do something for me. As far as significant others, I really can't speak to that one. But I would assume that people who love you will love you through it. It's going to get rocky, but they'll love you through it. If they don't, then they weren't meant for you. Like, you need to prioritize yourself. I chose myself over my son at one point because he was in middle school and he was acting up and just lashing out. And I was like, listen, I set him down. I was like, I can't deal with you misbehaving while I'm in school. My school is too important. I don't have time to deal with you getting into fights and just all of these things. I said, so you're going to go live with your dad. And they'd never lived together. It was quite entertaining. But I sent him to go live with his dad for a little while because I was like, I can't be there for you the way you need me to. And I need to do this for myself. So until you're ready to get on board, you're going to go live with your dad because he can give you the time you need. And I picked him up every weekend and he was still part of the household and he's still there. He doesn't hold any grudges, thank goodness. But you have to prioritize yourself and just know that sometimes you have to embrace the discomfort to make things better.
And in my opinion, I mean, I think that you chose the both of you because if you could have literally kept them there and you know what I mean, and let things go spiral or just patchy when you actually made the best decision for the both of you. You know, somebody that can give them a little bit more one-on-one and also coming back to be a part of the family. And I mean, that's incredible. I mean, that's super commendable. I love that.
It's hard. Everybody wants
So,
to help out, but you have to like help yourself. Help yourself first, and then you can help others.
as they say, put on your oxygen mask first, right?
Yeah, the plane.
Yeah, okay. So you made it through CRNA school. You're done. What was it like when you're going from that transition of barely making it, living on food stamps, just trying to stay above water to getting paid really well for what you do? How was that for you?
It was surreal. I grew up poor, so a nursing salary was fabulous because I got to buy a house. I never lived in a house prior to buying my house, so it was going from that, which was a great lifestyle improvement, to making my first CRNA paycheck, and you get that bonus, because most new grads sign up for some place with a bonus. You get that bonus check, and I just cried. I mean, it's money that I've never thought was tangible to me, and how much it's changed my life. Now people are always like, "Where are you going next? What vacation are you going on?" Because that's my life now. Like that has become my life. And looking back, I would have never been able to do it without going to CRNA school and suffering through it. But it is worth it when you get that first paycheck and realize, okay, the loans, for example, you see that first loan payment, you're like, shit, that's a lot of money. Because it's a lot of money. But then you see that first paycheck and you're like, it's manageable money. I can do it. It's like buying a new car. Yeah, it's expensive, but you wouldn't be able to afford it if you didn't have a good job. So you can do it.
So when you knew that this was coming and, your first paycheck and, all the things you graduated, you passed boards, what was like top 3 things that you wanted to get? Like what were your things? Because for me, I knew, so this is just to give you an example. I wanted to take a killer vacation. I hadn't been on vacation before school and I mean, I did take a few in school-ish, but I wanted something that I could go for a while and relax, and that's what I was looking forward to. I'm just like, this is what I'm looking forward to after.
So as a parent, you guys understand this now. You buy everything for your kids. Everything goes to your children, like everything. So I really just wanted to buy myself some new clothes and some little trinkets that I liked. I'm not really big into like fancy stuff, but I just wanted to go shopping for myself for once and not feel guilty for spending the money and not buy anything for my kids because I always buy shit for my kids. So I really just wanted to buy something for me and not feel bad about it. And so I did. I took myself on a little mini shopping spree and it felt great because I hadn't done it in 3 years.
You mentioned earlier in the episode that you've basically have done every practice, right?
Mhm.
Independent, supervised, medically directed. Where are you now and what is your favorite type of practice?
So I'm currently a 1099 locum employee in Florida, and I work in a medically supervised like care team model at a couple of different hospitals. I mean, I'm here until the fall, and then I don't know where I'm going to go. But my favorite kind of practice would probably, and this is going to really ruffle some tail feathers, but I like a team model, not necessarily physician and CRNA, but I like the team aspect. I like having a couple extra people free. Doesn't matter if they're, I don't care what kind of provider they are. I've worked with residents, AAs, physicians. It doesn't faze me. As long as you're good at your job and you're a good person, I can work with you. But I do like having backup. The independent practice is great, but you can get in the weeds. It gets very nerve-wracking. Like, I did a lot of
Yeah.
independent OB, even though it wasn't supposed to be independent OB. It's just nice to have an extra set of hands there, as long as they're competent hands. That's the key. So
Yeah.
I like a team model. Doesn't have to be a care team model, but I do like a team approach, because I think we work better when we have friends and resources and coworkers that can help us if we need it.
I 100% agree. I briefly worked at a plastic surgery center where I was the sole provider, and it takes a special kind of CRNA, I think, to do that, because there's so many things that you got to think about. And my entire anesthetic plan was always revolving around, it's just me. What happens if XYZ, right? What happens if this happens? Like, what do I do? What's my plan? And I literally had to just think about all of the things that could go wrong, which is what we get trained for. That's fine. But it's just really nerve wracking. And that it was definitely a different level of stress than being in a team model. I will say, I think I've been very vocal with this. I definitely don't like medical direction, and I don't necessarily mind a team model so long as there's mutual respect among everybody. That's my biggest thing.
I'm not a fan of medical direction. I don't like being told what to do. I'm good at my job. I don't need someone telling me how to do my job. And I'm usually the person they call for help anyways, if they need something. But I do like that team model. I agree with you. Being the only provider in a place is a special kind of stressor that I don't particularly care for. But I know people flourish in that. And that, kudos on them. That takes a special kind of person, because it is nerve-wracking.
It sure is. And then there's like all these other little things like too, like when you're going to do those types of practices, you got to be really careful where, because this facility, they didn't even have air tanks or anything. It was just 100% oxygen for everybody all the time. And like, missing certain equipment and not having this or that. And it was just like, yeah, this is not for me. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, they like to cut corners a lot in those kind of places, because it's about money, and we all get that. It's a business, but it's also a patient's life that you're taking care of, and you don't want to cut corners too much.
100% agree.
Yeah, I worked in one a PRN, and I think I lasted 3 days because the provider would push you to do things that weren't even safe, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. We're not doing that. And so I was just like, yeah, like the surgeon. I was like, yeah, I can't come back here. The first day I was just like, it was good. The second day, very, very like suspect, all the things. And then a few patient comments were saying, it's like, man, this was the tip off for me. It's just like, they were just like, come here. It's like, you're so nice, and you're really thinking about, the things. And I'm just like, are we all supposed to be really thinking about like basic things? And then that second day he asked me some questions, and then there was another blocked the wrong, basically did surgery on the wrong side of the body.
Oh,
and
man.
yeah, and I was just like, this is crazy. And it was like a place where, and I don't want to use too many descriptors, that happened. And then it just like the pace for me being the sole provider, to think about things meticulously, we can't do a ton like what you want to do, especially these patients are sick. And I was like, yeah, I'm not coming back here after this. I felt bad. And that's the reason why I came back the third time. It was only for the patients and what they had said. And I was like, man, let me try to be the difference. No, you can't be the difference in a place like that. So knowing that it's unsafe and knowing that you don't have your resources, you got to put yourself first and say, like, I'm not going to put my license in jeopardy, for this, or a patient's life.
Yeah.
Not having the right equipment.
There's some cowboy stuff out there.
Oh, sure is. And arguably you, Chris and Marc, have much more experience than I do, but I know you've both done like true locums, like travel out of state, go here and do locums. How's that experience been for you? Because I know a lot of people glamorize going locums for the money, but like, what is that like in real life?
I mean, the money's great, but I'm not going to lie. We do it for the money, right? The money's great, but you have to have the right personality for it, I think, because you have to be able to pick up a facility quickly, because you're a locums provider. You should be able to do anything they throw at you relatively quickly. You're there because you cost money. You're there to help. So you need to be very aware of your skill level and be able to like communicate what you need to communicate relatively quickly, learn things quickly, and outside of the OR, you have to be comfortable being alone-ish, alone or depending if you travel with somebody. But when I went to Kentucky, I was like, wow, I've never lived alone. I was like, I don't know if I like it. What is this snow? Oh my goodness. So it was a big learning adjustment. Now I'm like, okay, I could do it. I liked it because I got to meet people. But the first couple times you travel, like I went to Virginia, you find out a lot about yourself. It is not for everybody because some people need that family unit more than others. But if you like to meet people and you're confident and you're communicative, it's a great thing.
I'd agree. I liked it. Definitely have to be a really good communicator. And I feel like just asking a lot of questions, even if you feel like you're being annoying, is probably one of the best things. You can over communicate. And like you said, that I think the most stressful part about it is, for me, is trying to put a pulse on the culture. Because if you get the culture quickly, everything else
Mhm.
is, achievable. But cultures are crazy within there are so many, there's subcultures in cultures. And so just to understand that is, it's going to make your job like 10 times better. But I like meeting new people. I love new areas, but I think it's not, something that I really love too much now that I have, young kids. So I try to
Mhm.
stay at the place where I am now. And one of my favorite assignments, and it was actually just like really a long-term kind of locum, crazy enough. I'm insane. I did something like basically like took a chance and moved full time there just on a whim. And that's when I was in Minnesota. And like I said, I love where I am now, but that was great because it was a small practice. The practice I'm in now is not small. It's not huge, but it's not as small as that. There were only like four of us, CRNAs, all independent practice, and it was wonderful. If we had great people at the time, and honestly, one of the reasons why we left is because my wife was not a fan of negative 42
It's
degrees and
so
Ooh.
cold.
7. Wow.
Oh my
So
god. People from Florida, how do you do that?
It's so cold.
listen, let me tell you something. Those people would laugh at us because they knew we were novice. And so, like, I remember, guys, there was one day that I came home. They were like, "It's going to be a blizzard," and I went into work, and I was just like, you know what? It was pretty bad out there. But I grew up in New York. I didn't drive, but we had some days like that. So I was like, it can't be that bad, right? I was coming home, almost literally ran off the road a few times. I was like, this
Oh
is crazy.
god.
Like ice. It was like scary. And then I get home and I'm looking at the neighborhood. I'm like, there is no way possible that the snow is this high. This is crazy. To the point I make a left on my street and I pass my house because I'm in my subconscious. I was like, there is no way that's my house. And I'm like, and then I reverse back and I'm like, how am I going to get in? I'm not kidding. It must have been at least, at minimum, to my waist. I'm 6'2". And thank God I had these because the boots that you have to buy are like winter rated.
Mhm.
Like you can't just buy any boots.
Mhm.
There's some type of insulation that's in there that you don't get frostbite.
Oh god.
And they were thank God there were the I had a few of them, but I had the one that were like knee high like ones. Even with that, all the snow going into my driveway, I had to park on the side because the city did the plowing for the streets, and still it was terrible. But for the driveway, obviously, it wasn't plowed, and so I had to get in there and get a shovel. And it's like it's gonna take me at least 3 hours to do this. This is crazy. I was like, this is the biggest mistake, and it's almost like literally God heard my prayer. My neighbor literally calls me. He's like, "Hey, man," I was like, "I saw your driveway. I saw you just, you just got home." And he was like, "You want me to come over there with my snowblower?" I was like, "Please help me,
Save me.
dude." He literally whipped that thing into shape in like 30 minutes. That's the beautiful part about being in Minnesota. Shout out to the Minnesotans because they're some of the most wonderful, kind people. Like they know something's wrong with your house before you know. I'm dead serious. They're very observant. We got some looky loos, but in the best way. Like they
Yeah.
are they were wonderful. So
Neighborhood
Yeah.
patrol, right?
oh, they don't miss a beat. Like literally, my neighbor would be like, "Hey, I saw a package outside. I just want to make sure that you know that." It's like- but yeah, so um, the traveling is a very adventurous thing. If you want to adventure,
Yeah, you got to be able to read
go.
people and communicate. You're right. The culture matters because if you don't click with the culture, you are going to be alienated and ran out because they do not
Oh, yeah.
tolerate people they don't like, that they don't think is a good match. And I don't blame them. I was a chief once. I don't blame them because I would get some interesting locums. And, sometimes people just aren't a match. They could be great people, but they don't fit in with the culture. And you're like, this isn't going to work. It's more than just about you.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is if you think about it like you're going in, this is kind of weird, but you're going in as a spy.
Hmm.
And your job in the first like 2 weeks is to gather as much information as you can in order to just blend in. And then you tack on more information as you go. Just blend in, do what people are doing, and practice like not outside of those like, what, they practice.
Hmm.
And I feel like they're like, okay, they do, things. And then just keep your head down until you learn more about people. Don't go in there knowing too much or having the newest way to do something. Just throw it out the window. Just learn the
You'll
culture.
stand out.
That's my biggest
You
advice.
don't want to stand out too
And
much.
yeah, you do not stand out. Just go in and then just learn the culture quickly. And I think people appreciate that because it's like they're not over here trying to change, reinvent the wheel that we've created.
Yeah. And then they pick your brain. Once they realize that you're nice and that you know what you're talking about, they'll start asking you, like, hey, what are other hospitals doing? What are other places doing? But you can't, like he said, you can't go in there thinking you know everything and be like, I know the latest and greatest. They don't care. They just want you to be there to run a room. So that's what you do until they trust you. And then you can show them the latest and greatest.
And don't be too nice either. Don't be too serious.
That's a
Because when
long
it's like
list
a
of
try hard,
things.
yeah, it's almost like they think, you're trying hard for something. Don't be too nice. Obviously, just be professional. I think that's what I've used. And that's just, I think it's basic, but like it's kind of what it is. Don't be too nice and don't be, of course, a douchebag, but just you're in someone else's home. You're literally in someone's home. You are a guest. Just remember that.
Mhm.
Maybe someday I'll do a true locums gig, but for now I'm staying put. I'm excited to find out where you end up going this time.
Too.
I wanted to bring back real quick, Mark, you had mentioned in Minnesota it was independent CRNA practice. So what was that like, since we sort of touched on it a little earlier? Were you like solo when you were in-house, or were there a few of you guys there? How did that work?
No, so it was actually, this is really strange, and I think there are not many. It was a VA ASC, not attached to a hospital, right?
Yes.
And there it was so bizarre, right? Because
Mhm.
typically, how this whole VA thing rules, and typically there's a anesthesiologist. The thing is, they couldn't hire one, so they changed the bylaws because no one would bite, and so they made it basically that we can practice independently, and I mean until I guess they hired an anesthesiologist. But then I think, if I'm correct, I could be wrong, but I'm almost certain they changed the bylaws to be like, hey, we don't need a provider, you guys are the providers. So it was always four of us on. So we'd run 2 rooms, sometime 3 rooms. Somebody would be free, and we would literally do e-consults, which are basically consults for upcoming procedures to vet the patients to say, hey, they meet all the criteria for the ASC that they could have surgery here, they're safe, or they're too sick, they should be transferred in to the care of the community. And then we would organize all the things. So it was a really cool experience because we did all our pre-ops, like if they were really sick, we would get them in to make sure that we could physically lay eyes on them before the day of surgery. Do order all the labs, like we were everything. And so that was a really cool experience from beginning to end. I mean, we were at meetings with the CEOs and just all the things, the people who ran the department and the hospital, because when you are that small, everything is really intimate. And so we were in the room all the time. It was really weird at first. I'm just like, this is like not what I thought but it's cool. But it's just like all these micro decisions to make with, that we don't typically learn about in school.
I'd say that's been one of the hardest transitions for me, going military to civilian and then W-2 to 1099, is that it's not taught in school at all. Like the business of
Mm-mm.
anesthesia, how practice is run, what the differences are, how they bill, all of it. It's been very eye-opening, and I still arguably have a ton to learn about that, but it's just crazy.
You've heard about my vacation travels. Let's be real.
You have the best vacation stories.
Hold on, we got to have at least one. Tell me your best. What's your
I just have, so this is, girls enjoy this more so than men, but I have a habit of when I go, because single mom, right? Still single, living my best life. When I go to other countries, I open up my dating apps and I meet people in other countries. And it's a really interesting experience. There's actually a guy from Peru coming to see me in New Jersey in a couple months.
Oh,
I went to Peru to go see him, so he's going to come to the US to see me. And it all started with a vacation. So, I mean,
I love
yeah.
that.
And who knows? Like I've talked to people from all over the world. Quite literally. There was a guy in Egypt who stalked me for a little while on my Instagram. I kept trying to get rid of him and he kept popping back up, but
That's nice.
it was entertaining, if nothing else. What are they gonna do?
That's fair. Thankfully, he's in Egypt and not in Florida.
Yeah, true.
Florida man?
Florida man is part of my family. I'm not afraid of Florida man. That's my family. I grew up in the sticks of Florida. Yeah, Florida man's my family. When you have a fist fight at a family party, you know it's a good time.
Yeah. It's funny. My husband is from the sticks in Florida too. And he always brings that up. He's like, no. Yeah. He's like, nobody ever talks about this part of
he gets
Florida.
it.
Like it's always Miami and the beaches and the vacation. He's like, but this is Florida.
Like I said, if there's not a fist fight at a family get together, it's not real Florida. And it's all in love. They'll be hugging each other 5 seconds later. It's just hilarious.
It's just so wild to me how different Florida can be, because I grew up in South Florida, which is basically another country, right? Like we're just another country. And getting used to, because my husband is from Central Florida, getting used to that culture was interesting to say the least. So we've settled in that Tampa area where it's like, a little mix of both, and it's actually kind of cool.
Chris, thank you so much for all your amazing stories, inputs, all the things. We are so grateful to have had you. This is a very inspiring episode because it just shows you the power of like your mind and your will. And if you want to do something despite what's going on in your life, you can do it. I mean, not that it won't be hard, it won't be easy, but you can.
Yeah. I mean, anyone who thinks that they can't do it should remember that they can. They just maybe don't want it enough. And money shouldn't be a determining factor. And your family will love you through it. If they don't, then maybe you should get friends that are better family. I mean, like, put yourself first. You can do it. Anybody can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And I stand firmly to that. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
That's amazing. Me too. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Chris. I hope that it inspires people or motivates people to really see things in a different light and go for their dreams, even if it's not CRNA school.
Yeah, chase whatever dream you have while you're young.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. I hope it inspires somebody.
That's it for today. If this episode inspired you, or if you know someone that needs to hear it, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support means everything.
Leave us a review. It matters more than you think.
I'm Shantall.
And I'm Marc.
If you're thinking it, we're talking about it.